Ever wonder how Starbucks went from a single shop in Seattle to, well, practically taking over the world?
One latte at a time, right?
Exactly. And today we are diving deep into the surprisingly dramatic story behind their global coffee domination.
It's a story about bold risks and near failures.
Oh, and we can't forget that almost unbelievable dedication to quality and experience.
Which, let's be honest, completely transformed how Americans, and a good chunk of the planet, think about coffee.
Totally. And to guide us on this caffeinated journey, we have a fantastic YouTube video called How Starbucks Really Became a Coffee Giant.
Love that title. And it's not just a talking head video. They've got archival footage, even some clever animations.
It really brings the story to life.
Definitely. Now, to fully appreciate Starbucks' rise, we have to rewind back to the 1970s.
Okay, setting the scene. Picture Seattle. What comes to mind?
Grunge music. Right.
All of that, yes. But also, imagine a time when instant coffee was king, like the undisputed ruler of the coffee world.
And most Americans, they wouldn't know a high-quality coffee bean if it, jumped out of the coffee pot and introduced itself.
It was a very different coffee landscape back then.
The idea of coffee culture as we know it, practically non-existent.
And it's in this world, this instant coffee-loving world, that our three coffee-loving founders enter the scene.
Cue the dramatic music.
Haha, right. We've got Gordon Boker, Jerry Baldwin, and Zev Siegel. And here's the thing. They weren't setting out to build a cafe empire, at least not at first.
No, their passion. High-quality beans.
Absolutely. They were on a mission to bring those amazing beans to the American people.
And you know who inspired them? A true coffee visionary, Alfred Pete.
Wait, the Pete's Coffee Pete.
The one and only.
Wow, so this all ties together.
It's a coffee family tree. The Starbucks founders were completely captivated by his roasting techniques, his whole dedication to quality.
So, armed with this Pete-inspired passion, they opened their first shop in Pike Place Market in 1971.
Selling freshly roasted beans, sharing their coffee love with anyone who walked through the door.
But then, enter Howard Schultz. This is where the story takes a turn.
Our young, ambitious salesman. And get this, he was selling Dot coffee machines.
The irony. It's like destiny had a sense of humor.
Right. So Schultz stumbles upon this little coffee bean shop, tries their brew, and
Mind blown. Imagine that feeling, that first sip of truly incredible coffee that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about coffee.
we've all had that moment. It's a powerful reminder of how these sensory experiences can shape our perceptions, even our ambitions.
Totally. And for Schultz, it was a turning point. He saw beyond the beans.
He envisioned a place where coffee wasn't just a drink, it was an experience.
Yes. He'd visited these Italian cafes and thought, why not here? Why not in America?
He pitched this idea to the Starbucks founders. Let's transform this shop, he said. Let's make it a place where people can linger, connect, savor a well-crafted espresso drink.
It's the Starbucks we know and love today.
Right. But, and this is a big but, the founders initially rejected his idea.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, they were passionate about coffee, don't get me wrong. But their focus was on roasting and selling those beans, not running a cafe. It's funny how those moments of, nah, we're good, can become these pivotal turning points.
Totally. It makes you wonder if the founders ever, sat back and thought, wow, what if?
Right. Talk about a missed opportunity.
Seriously. But you gotta give Schultz credit. That rejection didn't stop him, not one bit.
Oh, no. He was determined.
He left Starbucks and took a leap of faith. Opened his own cafe, Il Giornale, bringing that Italian coffee house vibe to Seattle.
And this is where fate decides to step in and stir things up.
Because...
The Starbucks founders hit a rough patch. Challenges,
Yeah.
They decide to sell.
Okay, so Schultz sees his chance. But here's the catch. Remember those 1980s?
Shoulder pads, leg warmers.
And instant coffee still reigning supreme.
Schultz had to convince investors that America, land of the free, home of the instant coffee, was ready to pay a premium for a coffee experience.
$3.8 million in 1980s money. That's a tough sell.
Try telling someone in 1987 they should invest in a company charging $3 for a latte.
Yeah.
They'd probably laugh.
It blows my mind. But Schultz's passion, his belief in this vision, contagious. He gets the funding.
And bam, Starbucks, as we know it, is born. He merges his little cafe with the original Starbucks.
The era of specialty coffee officially explodes.
His strategy, brilliant, rapid expansion.
Blanketing the nation with this idea of the third place.
That space between work and home. Relax, connect, sip a fancy coffee.
And it wasn't just about comfy chairs.
Nope. He understood the power of words. Tall, grande, venti genius. No more small or medium.
Suddenly, coffee sounded so sophisticated.
Exactly. It's all about perception. That attention to detail, the quality of the customer service. Starbucks skyrocketed.
But even with a solid foundation, rapid growth, it's got its challenges.
There are always bumps in the road, even for a company like Starbucks. It's like even with the best of intentions, going from a small business
To a global brand, it's got to come with some curveballs.
Absolutely. Remember that whole thing with the Forbidden City in Beijing?
Oh, right. They opened a Starbucks inside the Forbidden City.
Yep. Incredibly historic, culturally significant site. Didn't go over so well.
I can imagine. So what happened?
Let's just say it created quite the uproar. I mean, you're talking about a modern global brand plopped right into this revered historical space. A lot of people felt it was disrespectful.
Wow, yeah. That's a tough one.
It became a huge lesson in culture sensitivity, that whole balancing act of global expansion with local values.
You really have to think about those things. One size doesn't fit all. But even beyond those global growing pains, Starbucks had some internal ones too, right?
It's almost ironic, in a way. As Starbucks expanded, trying to keep things consistent across thousands of stores, they faced a risk of losing what made them special in the first place.
You mean that artisanal approach?
Exactly. That dedication to quality. Remember the M founders? That was their thing.
Right, right.
And as they streamlined operations, more automation. There was this risk of losing that handcrafted touch, that personal connection.
Between the barista and the customer.
Exactly. And remember, all of this is happening as the economy takes a downturn in the late 2000s. People are cutting back.
A daily latte. Suddenly not so essential anymore.
Tough times for a coffee giant.
So how did Starbucks bounce back?
They brought back the guy who made them who they were.
Schultz.
Yep, Howard Schultz. He comes back as CEO in 2008, and his first move, bold, closes every single Starbucks. The U.S.
Wait, for how long?
An afternoon.
Seriously, all of them. To do what?
Retraining.
Yep.
Every single barista. Schultz wanted to reignite their passion, remind them about the importance of that connection, the customer experience.
Can you imagine being the CEO who makes that call?
That's leadership.
Yeah.
But Schultz, he wasn't just looking back, he was looking ahead. He saw where things were going, recognized the power of technology.
Right. The Starbucks app, it seems so obvious now, but back then.
Game changer. Order ahead, skip the line, earn those stars, and for Starbucks.
Hello, data. They're learning everything about what their customers want.
Personalizing the experience.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a little technology can do.
It really is. So as we finish our latte and wrap up this deep dive into Starbucks' story, from a tiny shop in Seattle to a global giant, what's the biggest lesson here?
For me, it's a reminder that even in this crazy world of business,
It's those personal touches that really matter.
absolutely, that dedication to quality, the customer experience.
But like you said earlier, that human connection, it makes you appreciate those everyday things, like grabbing a coffee. There's a whole journey behind it.
Exactly. And next time you're at Starbucks,
Yeah.
think about that journey, the risks, the near misses, the vision.
All that led to that perfect cup of coffee. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Starbucks.
Cheers to that.